Eva Vlaardingerbroek, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Tell us, what are these farmers primarily concerned about?
Right, so the farmers are concerned about their land being taken away from them. The Dutch government has recently passed a law that now seems to not even have the proper legal basis, actually, that is going to mean that they're going to have to cut 30% of their livestock before 2030. And the government is selling this as a law that is going to solve a so-called nitrogen crisis, which is a non-existent crisis. Your viewers can go and look the Netherlands up on the map and see that we're a very tiny country that, could not possibly be causing a dangerous nitrogen crisis compared to our neighboring countries who are much bigger that are not subjected to any of these rules. So it's really just a made-up crisis by our government because they want to take these farmers' land.
The Netherlands is one of the world's largest agricultural producers. In addition to farmers' concerns, how could these restrictions impact the country and the global food supply?
Well, the farmers have now, in a response to this new law, been protesting. And one of the things that they've done is they've blocked distribution centers. And they've done that because they want to show our country and also the rest of the world what happens when you shut down farmers. No farmers means no food. And we can see that now in Dutch supermarkets. We've had empty shelves for days. So the immediate effect is very visible to citizens, and the farmers want to show this is what happens when you shut us down. This is not just going to affect us. It's not just our heritage, our land, and our life on the line. It's also yours.
Each day, more farmers are joining these protests and escalating their methods of protest. As you mentioned, they're blocking food distribution centers, but they're also blocking highways and airports. Do you see these measures as a desperate plea for help?
Absolutely, yes. We've had farmers that have sadly already committed suicide because of these restrictions and these regulations, because this nitrogen law is really the straw that breaks the camel's back. But they've been subjected to so many insane regulations that have caused them to have to reorganize their entire farms over and over and over again to now finally oftentimes be completely shut down. I've spoken to some farmers who said, I have a farm that produces just organic meat, and I have to shut down 95% of my company with this. And that farm had been in their family for centuries. So you can imagine that these people are completely desperate, and I can only support them in that, and I understand their cause. Because what would you feel like if someone would come into your house, if the state would say, I'm going to just take 30% of what you own, and you have nothing to say about it?
And how are police responding to these protests?
Well, the police is not on the side of the farmers, which is a very sad fact. And we've seen horrible police brutality already against the farmers that have been protesting, which is very uncommon, or I should say used to be uncommon in the Netherlands. Over the past couple of years with the COVID protests, we've seen similar events. But yeah, the police has already shot at a 16-year-old kid yesterday. He was missed by 2 centimeters. So we almost had a child that was killed by the police just for peacefully protesting. He was actually driving away from the protest. So it's really insane what is happening here. And it shows once again that, well, Dutch people who are unarmed, as you should know, stand very little chance to the violence monopoly of our state.
You've said that these Dutch farmers are rising up against what you've called the communist agenda of the global elites. What did you mean by that?
Well, it's communism to the T. If the state comes in and says, I'm going to take away your property for a so-called greater good, I don't know what could be more, essential to communism than that. So it's communism, and I'm saying that it's being done on a global scale because this is part of a bigger agenda than just the agenda of the Dutch government. Yes, it's true that the Dutch government wants the farmers' land for one reason is to house new immigrants, but this is also because they are following an agenda called the 2030 agenda. These are restrictions and climate regulations that are imposed all over the world. So we're being hit hardest right now, and we might be the first ones, but it's very important for other people to know that they could be coming to you next.
As an example of these restrictions, in Sri Lanka, the government abruptly banned chemical fertilizers in an attempt to become 100% organic. Now, a food and economic crisis is devastating the country. Do you think we're going to see more of these policies and protests continue?
Yes, yes. We already see now that in Italy, farmers have gone out on the street as well. In Poland, farmers are going out. So it's spilling over, which is a really good sign because, like I said, these restrictions are going to be very relevant for everyone because it's a global agenda. They want us to eat bugs. They want us to eat the fake meat that they produce. So it's very clear that this is not something that just the Dutch people will be subjected to. And that's why we need your support from other countries.
And what do you think Americans can take away from what's happening in the Netherlands?
Well, from a Dutch perspective, I would say that Americans should be very happy that they have a Second Amendment and that you should protect that with all your strength.
Eva Vlaardingerbroek, thank you so much.
Thank you.